Hey, welcome back to the channel, and we're going to go over 5 money traps that people get into in their 20s and how you can possibly avoid them. If you don't have enough time to watch the whole video, we're going to go with the most important tip first, and we're going to work from there. The most important thing, and what I would put number 1 by far, is invest your money early. Now, most people say that the number 1 thing they wish they did was invest their money earlier, and that's something you can't go back on, but this is something you can tell younger people. Now, I have a brother who's 17 and he just got his first job, and the most important thing I think he should be doing is every time he gets a paycheck and he puts $500 monthly into the stock market. Now, if he does that and it continues for the next 3 years, he's going to have $18,000 contributed to that, and also at an average 6% return, he's going to get an additional $1,600 from his investment. Now, while that does not seem like that much for having $1,600, he's also going to have that first $18,000, which took discipline to invest for the last 3 years. That money otherwise could have easily been spent on food, going out, clothing, and all kinds of other things. But now, at 21 years old, he would have $20,000, and I know for most people that is a considerable amount of money to just have in cash and ready to go. Now, if he decides not to listen and he starts investing his money at 21 like me, he would start with that same 500 contribution or whatever he wants to do, but he would be 20,000 less. That would grow and compound over time, and it would take X amount longer to increase in value. Now, if he starts at 25 or 29 or so on, he will need to put bigger contributions. It'll take significantly longer for it to grow to whatever the goal is. And now from this point on, they're not going to necessarily be in chronological order, but I'm going to go with number 2 is buying an expensive car. And most people, as you know, when you're young, you really want to have an expensive car. And you're buying your first car, you don't want it to look really crappy. I know I drove a family Toyota Corolla, and it was not the most impressive thing, but it gets you from where you need to be. It didn't have any power windows, it didn't have power steering, power anything. It had a couple dents, couple scratches, but it got me where I needed to be. The most annoying thing I think it could be was when you have to use the hand crank on windows. I'm not sure everyone even knows what that is anymore, but you had to hand crank it and it would squeak. When you had to sit still, it would make an idling sound. And eventually we got past that, and now we're at our luxurious Mazda 3, 5 years old. Buying that BMW and leasing it or financing it, that's just money coming out of the pocket, and really no one really cares what you drive except for you. And if it's stressing you out to buy it, it's probably not worth it. You can definitely get the car later on in the future, and you can probably get something nicer than what you could barely afford in your 20s. Right, tip number 3 is overpaying for rent. I live in Vancouver, and I know rent is super expensive. You could be living in a 1-bedroom for $1,800 a month and just getting the basic stuff if you live in downtown. So I would say you should live at home as long as you can, or if you cannot live at home, because not everyone can, you should go and live with roommates and keep that rent cost to a minimum. All that extra money can be saved up and put into the stock market, and sooner than you think, you can put a down payment on your house, and then you can live in there and you can build equity into your mortgage. Number 4, and I know a ton of people who do this, myself included, and that is spending too much money on food. And that is mostly eating out, restaurants, sushi, coffee, all those things start to add up. Even the smallest things, if you have them too often, by the end of the month, you're going to see a $1,000 a month food bill, and you really need to cut that back. I want you to go and take that down to $300 and see how you feel. And odds are you won't feel that different. You'll space it out and do some conscious spending, and you'll be able to stretch that $300 out for a longer period of time. I would say don't spend more than 10% of your net income on food. So if you're taking $3,000 home a month on your salary, you should not be spending more than $300 on food. If you're working part-time or you're a student right now, and that 10% number is something like $50 or $20 a month, of course, that's not reasonable. You can up that. I would say don't spend too much, but don't overspend. Don't spend like your friend who's working and making 75K a year or making 100K a year. Spend according to what you can afford. And tip number 5, and this one, I have to really stress this one out, buying everything brand new. And that is definitely not needed. I'm going to use the example of furniture in this case. And we all know if you want to get cheap furniture, go to IKEA. But it's not necessarily always the cheapest. So you could go into IKEA and you see a couch, $1,000, and it's brand new, no one sat on it, it's perfect, right? But now if you go to Facebook Marketplace, someone has bought the same couch, and now for whatever reason, they've only had it 1 year, they have no pets, they're moving out of the country, and they need to get it sold. And guess what? Their $1,000 couch that they paid for, they're now selling it for $400. And there's nothing wrong with it. No one's gonna ask you if that couch is brand new from IKEA. It's gonna feel like it's brand new from IKEA. You're not gonna know the difference, and you're not gonna think about it after a little bit. And then plus, you've saved $600 on that couch if you bought it for $400 or whatever you saved. A quick bonus tip, number 6, is buying brand name clothing, which is totally unnecessary because that $5 shirt feels the exact same as the $200 shirt, I promise you. And if you can convince me that the $200 shirt is 20 times softer or 30 times softer than the $5 shirt, I will call you a liar, or I will tell you to send me one and I will do a complete review of it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, hit the like and subscribe button. I'll put my socials in the description, as long as my codes for Questrade and Wealthsimple down below. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below and I'll be sure to answer them as best I can. Thank you guys.